Hello everyone, Loremaster of Sotek here, and today is a very exciting day as we have the next Roundtable from Creative Assembly, which is awesome. I'm very excited to see what it's gonna be in it. We got about 23 minutes of goodness coming in from the developers. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it, hoping to see some cool stuff regarding the upcoming DLC. But yeah, let's get into it.
Hi everyone, I'm Steve from the Total War community
Hi,
team,
Steve.
and I'm once again sitting down with some of the guys from the Warhammer development team to chat a little bit more about what's coming up in the future. Just a quick disclaimer, this video is being recorded before the release of patch 5.2, so even though we'll be talking about those patches and the kind of future of those patches, we won't be addressing any of the feedback or responses to that for now, as we wouldn't have seen that, because unfortunately we can't see into the future as much as we wish we could. So with that said, let's jump into some introductions. Rich and Sean, people have met you before, but do you want to give us a quick introduction as to
I like their old version of the
Bloodthirster for the Total Warhammer series. I look after the various DLCs, hotfixes.
Rich is a great guy.
Patches in the light
Love
with these fine gentlemen.
And Sean, how about you?
Yeah, I'm the lead designer on the next project coming up now. So I'm focused primarily on keeping the team focused and
nice.
ready for
our DLC.
Awesome. And we also have Mitch with us today.
Oh, it's Mitch!
Who's
awesome.
heading up the project to bring the
old Krokar model too,
and refreshes to the game in the interim patches in between the
Mitch!
DLCs, like 5.2, which you would have just got your hands on. Mitch, do you want to give
Mitch
us a quick introduction
goat.
to who you are, what you do, and also maybe your history with the Warhammer series?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Mitch. Some people will remember me. Thinking way back to Beastmen is where I joined the project. On Warhammer with Rich in the team.
Yeah, Mitch has been here
on
a
every
long
DLC,
time.
all the way up to Immortal Empires. Some of the big notes in there were Tomb Kings and Vampire Coast. A couple of the ones that I led, some of my favorites. I then took a small hiatus after Immortal Empires, but now I'm back.
I am so glad he's back. Mitch does good work.
And the updates, and just really having a think how we can bring all
Look
the
at this
old content.
group of good-looking guys.
Awesome, thanks Mitch, and welcome back.
Thank you.
So let's jump into a couple of questions about the next DLC.
Yes.
In the last video, we spoke a bit about the new Legendary Lords that were coming, gave some little bits of juicy information there. Is there any update on how things are going?
Yeah, things are going really well. We are way into our production pipeline now. So you'll have seen from the last video some of the creatures and characters coming to life with some of the
I hope they reveal some more stuff.
We're also now working on lots of our audio content as well, so how these things are going to sound, how we're developing our designs, which I'm sure Sean will talk a little bit about later. As we push forward in rounding out, the development process where we're going to iterate and then do some bug fixing and the like before we get to release. So looking really good.
Sean, how are things going from your end? What are you doing at the moment?
Well, we're actually almost at like a playtesting stage now, so we've got it all together.
Oh, nice, playtesting. Okay,
it's a beautiful masterpiece that is filled with problems. So we will playtest it. We'll iron out those kinks, and we'll fix all the bugs. So yeah, we're just shifting into that.
We'll
phase
fix
now,
most of the bugs.
The most important phase.
Let's be honest.
So we'll be really relying on our QA team to give us lots of feedback, and we'll spend a lot of time playtesting ourselves. But as we shift into iteration, what looks like an amazing idea right now, we'll play it and go like, oh, actually maybe we could shift it this way or that way, and that's where like the real magic comes together, and that's what we've learned over the years, that this is like the most crucial stage to get like the best product. So we are there now, and we are not wasting any time with what we have. So
a word that you guys both mentioned there is iteration. And for those who don't know what that is, what is that, and what is that stage when you're in game?
I like that they're
we
explaining
have,
the development process.
We have the pre-production stage, which is where we decide
dispelling
what
some of the mystery.
We figured out who the characters are, what's the goal, what's the pillars to lean towards. After pre-production, we know what we're making. We shift into production when we start producing it. We make it, and during that stage, we just kind of have like the first draft. So once it all comes together, we then play test that, and we go, okay, so what was good, what was bad, what maybe it's like completely the wrong direction. We think we've missed the mark. As we hit into iteration, that's where we take a stop, we address it, we think, okay, we need to turn left here or go right there, and then we have a good few weeks of doing that, and then at the end of that, we then shift towards bug fixing so that we can polish the product ready for release.
Okay, so
definitely where we sprinkle a
sounds
little bit of
like
dust and
it's sounding like we're kind of like a good month and a half.
Let's look at Gorbad for the first one.
Ooh, month and a half to 2 months away, I would think.
What you told us before, Any new stuff that you can talk about today?
They're going to show him this time?
His playstyle.
Last time they just talked about him.
Yeah, I can go a little bit more detail. So last time we talked about how he was, this tactician that brings all flavors
Colossal
of the
Squig
roster together. And we've dug into that a bit further, and we've come up with a name in progress, but apt de plan.
The plan!
Which is
get ready for the plan, lads.
Gorbad experiments.
Oh, look at his art!
Different units in the roster can he pull together, and if those form a plan in his head, he can then create a unique strategy around them. So it might be, send out some goblins in front of the archers, and they can pick up the arrows. And it's like, well, now you've got a way to regenerate your ammunition during the battle. So you've got arrow catchers, go and get it.
Go get the arrows, lads.
Focused thing of like, what if I bring loads of wolf riders? Then I can do better raiding. So it's all ideas around experiment with your army, what units you bring, and that can have both campaign and battle.
That's super duper cool. Okay, I actually really like that. So there's the idea of in battle, certain unit synergies will give you different kinds of bonuses. So in this case, talking about having basic goblin units that go out in front of your archer units, and then they can give you regenerating ammo, which is really cool. That also, hilariously, I want to say that's something Gorbad actually did, or it's something that has been talked about in Greenskin lore. There's a note, I don't remember what book it's in, but there's a note about how Greenskins will often do things like sending goblins out when the enemy starts shooting arrows, because the goal is that the goblins will catch the arrows with their bodies, so the goblins will get massacred by archers, and then the orc archers and the goblin archers can just pull the arrows out of the dead goblins and start using them to shoot back at the enemy, which I just love that being an actual mechanic. And then the idea on the campaign map of having units that get additional bonuses to various things you can do on campaigns. So like you said, in this case of wolf riders, making it where wolf riders, like maybe for each unit of wolf riders in your army, you get a percentage increase to your raiding income. That'd be so cool, because then like building your armies wouldn't just be about like, I'm just gonna take a 20 stack of the best unit. Then it's, what kind of different buffs can I get based on which unit combinations, and what do each of the units provide me on the campaign map? That's something that I would love to, like, although I would love for Gorbad, of course, to have the biggest focus on it as a mechanic, that's something I would love to see almost more universally, would be that different kinds of units give you different kinds of buffs on the campaign map. That's super cool.
Quite different.
So you've mentioned units. Are there any that you can tell us about today?
Yeah, I think the unit I most want to talk about is the characters, the Savage Orc Shaman.
Yeah!
To go back to how we're always looking at the game and
the regular Shaman or the Great Shaman?
For us, we thought we have Warzag in game right now. We've got lots of Savage Orc tribes in game.
Hold on.
But none of them are being actually led by Savage Orcs.
Okay, so the Great Shaman.
If we bring in the Savage Orc
Shaman,
we can right that wrong, and we can bring in a
top
new bit
tier
of
on my
gameplay,
wish list
but
for
also
Greenskins.
refresh some old experiences and make
so
it
the
feel a bit
Lord
more
level
authentic to the
Savage
Warhammer
Orc
world.
Shaman.
It's weird having a Savage Orc tribe led by an orc.
It is! Oh god,
Yeah, we
yes!
want to give you that flavour.
Yeah.
Finally, some big
We had
wah
that in the
magic
past
for
with Shadows of Change
Lords.
and didn't quite get that right there with Mother of Stankia. So yeah, absolutely want to make sure that you can role play out the armies that you want to build. And yeah, Sean was like dead set on getting this character in for you.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
When we brought in the Savage Orc, it did make us take another look at Warzag. They're like, well, if we're giving him another character, maybe we should take a look at what he's up to.
Cool. Free
So
LC
we've
updates for
actually moved
Warzag
him as well. So
Oh,
we've moved
shit!
him from the Badlands down to the Southland jungles.
Oh, look at that! That's so cool. Okay, so Warzag. Oh, so he's right next to what are these guys? The Leaf Cuttas, I think is their name. The Forest Goblin tribe. Oh, that's awesome. So okay, based on where he is on this map, he is gonna be between. It looks like he's roughly between Tic-Tac-Toe and Krokgar. So he's just outside of the.
This character in for you.
Yeah,
He's just outside the Golden Tower, or the Golden Ziggurat, or whatever it's called.
Well, if we're giving him another character, maybe we should take a look at what he's up to. So
Warzag.
we've actually moved him as well. So we've moved him from the Badlands down to the
Yeah, so
Southland
there's
jungles,
that little
to pay
pass
homage
there, so he's
to
a little bit
his
south.
origin in his
You can see.
8th edition lore.
Oh, that's awesome!
We're working on like a little nod to
Warzag.
his connection with Gork and Mork and the Savage Orc tribe.
And he's getting a mechanic.
Yeah, a new
Fuck
fresh
yeah.
experience there. Something we're looking to do.
Oh my
in
god,
other
I'm so
places
excited
as
for
well.
Savage Orcs.
Awesome.
Savage
you wanna see your
Orcs!
best words
Oh
out?
my god, that's
Gods.
exciting. That's
The
exciting!
time will
Yeah.
come, I'm sure. I'm sure if there's enough demand for it. So what about Golgfag? What's coming down that line with the Ogre Kingdoms? Is there more stuff that you can tell us about now?
Yeah, I can tell you some more stuff about that. You're pulling it all out of me today.
I'm very heavily aiming at you today, Sean.
I mean,
He represents
Yes,
the people.
yeah, because you're heading
The
this
people.
all up. You know, you've got all the juicy
Yeah,
details.
I'll make sure I do a good job. So Golgfag, I mentioned earlier, he is the mercenary guy. So, we have to make him a mercenary, right? Like, we have to create the first proper mercenary faction in Warhammer 3. So we've got a brand new feature set now where you can take on Golgfag's contracts. And you actually work for another faction. So if I create a scenario here,
Sorry.
Hey,
we
turn your
obviously
fucking
have to
phone off.
deliver a mercenary experience. So
Come on,
for the first time in
professionalism.
Warhammer 3, we're trying to create a faction that plays like a mercenary. So you will work for other factions.
Oh, look at him. He's such a big lad.
Contracts. You can, let's say Carl Franz is having some trouble with Vlad, and he offers you a job. You can take on all his wars and go, okay, I'll work for you, Carl.
What?
Beat up Vlad and maybe Drake just causing trouble, or Kemler as well. If you do enough good job for him, beat up his enemies, maybe gift some of the settlements to him, you can fulfill your contract, and Carl will give you a nice big juicy payday at the end of that. So,
Okay, so oh my god, that sounds so fucking awesome. So Golgfag Maneater is gonna be able to. Oh, that's so you're an actual mercenary. So you're being hired by a faction to functionally become part of that faction. So it's like, it sounds like they're adapting the system of in the allied system, you can borrow an army from an ally using allegiance points. And if you do so, they basically work for your faction. But you're doing it as the player. So you become an extension of the army that you're using becomes an extension for, say, Karl Franz in this case. So you're able to capture settlements for him, I'm guessing. I don't know if that's, you're just capture them and then if you trade them, you get additional bonuses. Because what he's saying, it almost sounds like you're filling up a meter where you fight their wars for them and trade settlements to them in order to fulfill your contract. To me, that sounds like maybe there's like a meter you're trying to fill up. And once you fill up that meter, you've successfully accomplished the contract. And hopefully get some insane rewards. But this sounds fucking awesome. This sounds incredibly awesome. I'm very, very excited about that. Because the biggest thing I've been wanting in the game is more factions that, well, that's not true. But one of the big things I've wanted in the game is more factions that mess with how diplomacy works and have more unique interactions.
fill your contract.
Also, this can make...
Carl will give you a nice big juicy payday at the end of that.
I want a big juicy payday.
We've even tried to keep it like, you're a neutral party, you're just a mercenary. So a lot of the diplomacy that comes with beating up Vlad will actually get passed on to Carl. Like, he's the one that hired.
Oh,
Golgfag's fault that he's done a good job. So at the end of that contract, maybe Vlad says, "Could you work for me instead and take on Carl next?" So we've created this new experience where he does
that sounds so
kind of
awesome.
roam the world, taking on the jobs and beating up anyone he fancies.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw another one at you.
That, oh my god, I love the sound of that. The first true neutral faction. I love that you pass on the diplomacy, like, negatives from attacking whoever to the faction that you're working for. That is hilarious, where it's like, hey, I'm just doing a job, man. Like, I'm just following orders. Like, take it up with him. It's not my problem. I just follow orders, man. That's so awesome. Oh man, that's really exciting. Oh man, I like. Tell me more.
I don't know if you can guess what I'm going to ask you.
Do you want some more content?
Yes.
Maybe
Form
a
of
bit.
content.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit. Are we
Yes.
going to do this again?
Yes.
We're gonna do it again.
Little tiny bit of content.
Yes.
About Khorne and Skulltaker.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
George, I
That's
thought
enough.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to ask about another ogre piece of content.
Turn it
Which I
back.
could say,
Turn
we're
back.
doing the Yetis, but I guess we'll go straight into Skulltaker. if you
Yetis
want.
confirmed.
Sorry, not Yeti.
Awesome.
Yeah, the
Show
Yetis,
me.
But we'll move on from that. Yeah,
Show me.
Yeah.
Tell us, you can cut that. Tell us a bit about Yetis.
The Yetis are like a monstrous infantry unit for the Ogre roster. They are like quite ice imbued and come from the deep.
That artist,
of the
I love that.
that's
the art from the 8th edition army book.
A bit of a difference from Gorges, who are quite aggressive.
Show the model.
The Yetis actually come with.
Oh, they look really fun. Okay, so this is the T-pose model. Oh man, I like how like simian or ape-like their design is. These look so much better than the tabletop model. These look so much better than the hideous tabletop model. I love their faces. Oh, I can't wait to see them in motion. I mean, T-posing doesn't do it justice because you don't get to see like the posture and everything. But I think he was talking about. Let's see what he says about the role.
The Yetis actually come with like a passive debuff, a bit, an aura of frost. I think is our working title.
Like the Frost Phoenix.
So you want to mix them. A monstrous infantry unit for the Ogre roster. They are like quite ice imbued and come from the deep.
It's probably frostbite
recesses
attacks
of the mountains in the Ogre Kingdoms, and to give them a bit of a difference from Gorges, who are quite aggressive, charging in. The Yetis actually come with like a passive debuff, a bit, an aura of.
Nice. So they're a more defensive monstrous infantry unit. That's
so you want to mix them into your roster in places to debuff the enemy, so that your Ogre bulls can really hit them hard in the charge.
Awesome.
Are they really big?
Awesome.
Or just big?
Just big.
Just big. Okay. Just one.
Yeah,
Great.
big,
Very excited.
Yeah.
Thunder
Yeti
Tusks,
should
Blood
be,
Vultures, and Yetis are all confirmed.
Oh, are they
That's
soft and fluffy?
great.
I wouldn't pet them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have Aura of Frost.
Have a look at
Your
Khorne.
hand freeze your nuts off.
Skulltaker.
Yes.
What new info can you give us?
Ah, Khorne.
Last time I told you that he's a champion hunter. That's his probably gameplay role there.
Oh, look at him!
Again, we've dialed into that on the campaign side as well.
Zoom in.
Skulltaker.
Oh, he
he's all
looks
about
so
hunting down
hard.
Champions, taking.
Oh,
their
look at
skulls.
look at all those
And for us,
skulls,
we're
dude.
trying to capture that with him when he defeats characters in campaign.
Oh, he
will
looks.
claim a
Oh, he
portion
looks
of their
so
strength, some of
good.
their champion essence, which he can then use to imbue his cloak of skulls. And the whole idea of the feature is seek out, powerful characters, defeat them, claim some of their strength, and empower yourself even further. So that you can become the ultimate ultimate champion of the Warhammer world.
So it's literally a process of the more people you kill, the stronger you are.
Yeah, and if anyone starts to look pretty tough, well, you just kill them, right? And then you take their strength, and now you're even tougher. Exactly.
And it's just exponential until you're champion of everything.
Yeah, until he's stood at the top of the peak.
Okay, so I really, really love that they're sticking with what they should for Skulltaker, which is that his job and his goal is to hunt down the various characters across the game so he can get their essence and imbue it into his cloak. That is absolutely fucking fantastic. I also love it sounds like they're making it in some way where the goal with him is not just to like spam lower characters, but to go after the most powerful characters. Though I'm curious how they're gonna determine like who's the most powerful character. Is it based on like the higher the level of that character? Is it based on the strength rank of the faction? Is it based on like how many victories that character's gotten since they were last defeated? Like I'm curious what the system is gonna be that determines how, like, who the strongest character is.
Champion of.
But very, very good.
Yeah,
very good.
Stood at the top of the peak alone.
Yeah, he's got skulls everywhere. I was looking at the art the other day, what our character artists have done, and even his sword on the blade.
God, he looks
etched all
so
the way
good. Look at that tongue.
The guy is fully stocked.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Units. Are there any new units or anything like that you can talk about for Khorne for this DLC?
So we know about the Slaughter Brute.
Let's talk a little bit about what we've got coming for them. And I guess touching back on one of the other questions that you asked about how we produce and package up the content, Khorne's got something slightly different. Not too different, but slightly different in that we've been looking back in all the books and the materials that were set by Games Workshop. And what we're trying to do obviously is create parity across all three different strands of the DLC. You've got your Legendary Lord and Legendary Hero and so on. But with Khorne, when we came to look at what other options were available for some of the generic characters, they didn't quite have as much stuff on offer now as maybe what some of the other factions do, as we've been exhausting it through the various different DLCs and products. So Khorne's already got, I think, three kind of heroes in already, like the cultists and the like. So there was nothing really more to be added there. We do have a new generic Lord though coming.
Okay, so generic Lord, but no generic hero.
But to fill that gap, what we're doing with Khorne is going to give you 2 legendary heroes.
Hell
yeah!
yeah!
That you've seen in past experiences.
Hell yeah!
So Greenskins and Ogres, don't worry, they still fit the same formula.
So Skyla, Infragrim, and
2 legendary
who?
heroes, and they've got 2 pretty cool ones, or I think they are.
Are they going to reveal?
So first up, we've got Skyla Anthragrim.
Skyla! Oh, the big monkey!
Expecting to see
the reptile monkey.
Chaos Spawn making his appearance.
Oh, he looks so good!
Ape-like statue.
Hold on, go back. Oh, look at him! Oh, he looks so good, and he's got fire belching out of his tail mouth. Oh, he looks so good. I am begging CA. I am begging CA. Please make Scylla available for Norska as well. He has to be available for Norska as well. He is a Norscan first and foremost. But oh my god, he looks so good. He looks so good. He looks way better than his art. His art, I don't like this art. The face looks weird.
Ape-like stature and fists. He was a past Norscan chieftain, wasn't he?
That's right, yeah.
Yes.
So he's got all this pent-up rage and fury. He just wants to unleash it all. And then the other character, which maybe you're not expecting, but we're equally excited about doing, is Scar Bloodwrath.
What?
Scar Bloodwrath is not an 8th edition character.
Whoa!
He comes from the end times.
Whoa! Wow! So, his art looks way nicer. This looks so much nicer than his normal stuff. His tabletop model is hideous. I'm gonna say it. I fucking hate his tabletop model. I don't like his original end times art. He looks terrible. This looks so much nicer. Because he kind of just looks like a minotaur fused with a man. This looks way better than his tabletop model, his concept art. So wow. Okay, so we are official. So I was wrong. I thought never in a million years were they going to start doing end time stuff. Oh wow. This opens a lot of cans of worms. So end times is officially okay. End times is officially okay. Which means that a whole lot of shit is now... So this pretty much confirms that when we get Skaven, we're going to get... I think it means we're going to get End Times Thanquol, Storm Fiends, Nagash, End Times Nagash, Morghast. This means the Glotkin is an option now. It means we can have Putrid Blight Kings. A little... this is really weird. This is really weird. I was not expecting Games Workshop to be okay with this. Based on how they've been acting, I am genuinely shocked for this. Because the Khorne stuff, for those... So he kind of talks about it a little bit, I think. Because I heard him saying this isn't from 8th edition. But in the End Times, one of the things that made the End Times particularly bad, but is just kind of an unavoidable truth of it, is that almost all of the new things we got in the End Times wasn't actually for fantasy, it was for Age of Sigmar. So basically they were releasing a bunch of new models to prepare for the first edition of Age of Sigmar so that they didn't have to release a whole bunch of models at once. So some examples were that like the Glotkin, the Putrid Blight Kings, Scar Bloodwrath, and then Scar Bloodwrath is basically a character version of a unit, which are the Wrathmongers. But the Wrathmongers were part of a dual kit where they could be Wrathmongers or Skull Reapers. Which I'll do a separate video talking about this because this is fucking huge. Like they just dropped a giant bomb. Because holy shit, that means we're getting Skull Reapers and Blood Reapers and Wrathmongers, which that means that there's going to be a new higher tier Khorne unit. So there's going to be Chosen, but now we're going to have the aspiring champion version of Khorne, which is going to be the Wrathmongers and the Skull Reapers, because they're way bigger. Like, on tabletop, they were monstrous infantry, not regular infantry. Like, they're fucking huge, guys. The models are gigantic in scale compared to the original guys. So, like, I don't know if they're just... I assume they're going to be, like, aspiring champions where there's, like, a small unit of them. And they're just really big dudes. I doubt they'll be actually monstrous infantry size, because it wasn't so much that, like, they were a lot bigger. It was that the scale of the models was going larger for Age of Sigmar. So, because the models were designed for Age of Sigmar, they were a larger scale than their fantasy counterparts. But, like, if you go look at the game now... they are pretty much the same size as, like, modern-day Chaos Warriors. So, like, I don't think they're actually going to be, like, troll size. I think they're going to be large infantry, but not monstrous infantry, if that makes sense. So I think they'll still count as small entities, maybe. But I'm assuming this is going to be the Khorne version of the Aspiring Champions, which means that if their goal is to balance the Monogod rosters... that means that we should get Monogod Aspiring Champion-esque units for each god, which means that would be Putrid Blight Kings. So that would be Putrid Blight Kings for Nurgle. And then I don't know what they would even do for Slaanesh and Tzeentch. I mean, Slaanesh, they could... that's so weird, because, like, they're going to have to come up with new units. They're going to have to come up with new units. Because, like, Tzeentch, they've already kind of exhausted. Like, they even took Doom Knights and made them into the disc riding dudes. But... like, I don't know what they would do to make a Tzeentch Aspiring Champion type unit outside of, like, the, obviously the Regiment of Renown. But, and Slaanesh, they could take at least inspiration from the Mirmadesh Painbringers, which are an Age of Sigmar unit that are, like, they're, like, that type of unit. But Tzeentch doesn't have anything like that, that I'm aware of. So this is going to be super fucking interesting. But this means a lot of stuff is on the table now.
Per se, he comes from the end times, so it made sense when we looked at Khorne,
end times is confirmed.
How we can get the best and
fantasy,
most exciting characters and units.
Fascinating,
and to have him. And it will make sense when we.
I genuinely thought they weren't going to do this
as well. Why we chose him, but I think both of those. Very brutal, very vicious. Yeah, very much.
So that's fucking awesome.
So
that's
fun
great.
To play around with.
You mentioned a lot about kind of reference materials and things like that.
I mean, hell, I'm so sorry, but if you want to watch this uninterrupted, go do that. But I mean, that means they could do another Nurgle DLC and do, like, the Glotkin as the Legendary Lord. I think he's weird for a fantasy character, but if you're gonna have a Scar Bloodwrath, you can have the Glotkin. Period. Like, there's no, I don't think there's there's no argument that can be made against that. So, but, like, you could do the Blotkin with, like, Putrid Blight Kings and other stuff. I don't know what, but, like, there are options now. And that could also give us Valnir the Reaper as a legendary hero for Nurgle. But, I mean, that would put Nurgle at 4 fucking characters. But what's also interesting is this, so I think with, I guess I'm going to go make a video on it here in a little bit. But to me, this basically confirms what the Khorne DLC is, which I think, so it's going to be Skull Reaper. The free LC character, which they already said is Khorne, the free LC Legendary Lord, is almost assuredly now going to be Arbald the Undefeated, because he's the only other Khorne character of, like, any note. And then you get whatever the new generic Lord is, which I could see the new generic Lord being based on the Wrathmonger, the Skull Reaper. So, like, a really big guy with, like, chain axes. Kind of like the Demon Slayer Lord or whatever, or the Doomseeker type characters. So, like, that could be the generic Lord. I'm personally really hoping it's like a High Priest or, like, a Lord level cultist instead of just, like, another melee, like, just another, like, beatstick dude. But it could just be another beatstick. So no generic hero, but then you get Scar Bloodwrath and Skylight and Fringrim. And then for the units, you get excuse me. You get I was talking about Nurgle too much. For the Khorne units, we're looking at the Slaughter Brute, which is already confirmed. This Scar Bloodwrath's presence now means we are getting Skull Reapers and Wrathmongers. So that's 2 more units. Then Khorne Gores, that's our 4th unit. And then our 5th unit, it's either going to be the Demon Chariot. So there's the Chariot of Khorne, or, like, the Bloodletter Chariot. It has a really generic name back in the Storm of Chaos. But they could do that, which is like 2 Juggernauts pulling a chariot with Bloodletters crewing it. But I don't know. I feel like that would be kind of a silly option, because like, it's basically just a Gorbeast chariot, and we already have Gorbeast chariots of Khorne, so I feel like it wouldn't really add that much unless it was, like, made really big. So if they don't do that, they could do another, like, smaller monster, like the giant spined Chaos Beast or something like that. But I think it's either going to be a smaller monster or it's going to be the chariot. If they want to exhaust the Storm of Chaos, it'll be the chariot. But we'll have to see. But this is crazy. I'm digging it. I'm digging it a lot.
Things like that you've got, like the books and stuff from Games Workshop. So what do you use as your reference point?
Well, Mitch is really good. You know, one for digging through and turning over every stone and an idea.
I love Mitch. Mitch is great.
Yeah, I think the start of every project is
Mitch is the
for me,
goat.
and I'm sure many others, just taking the army book of whatever you're working on and just reading through it. And then you pull out from the army books, loads of notes related to the characters.
They make mistakes from time to time, but that's okay.
Especially the campaign as well.
That's any process.
You're always kind of looking for something unique.
Why can two kings and two princes ride horses when in the lore they can't, and tabletop they can't?
And then translate into gameplay.
Small mistakes.
Obviously, it's a little bit more directly translatable with the battle stuff, but in campaign, you're always looking for something just a little bit, unique, something that you can really. And it can be like something really small.
I'm super excited for this DLC.
Onto, and turn it maybe into something quite interesting for a feature or something like that.
Still have a ton of time left
for the army books, and there's also lots of other books as well, and other magazines and various source material that you'll just
Black Library books,
White
Dwarfs,
to try
side
and
campaigns, summer
really
campaigns.
Immerse yourself in whatever it is you're working on at the time.
So is there like a secret library somewhere in the studio that I've not been to? All this material is just like this.
Where's the library?
Not a secret library.
Yeah, no, there's not.
Really? Oh,
Where's the Black Library?
You take it home, don't you, Sean? You take it home.
It's got my flat, yeah.
Awesome, cool. Thanks, Mitch. Well, we've spoken quite a lot about the DLC now.
I am
looking forward to sharing more.
Very
info
excited
in
for
the
this
future.
DLC.
Let's have a chat with you now, Mitch,
End
and talk about
times.
what you've been doing
Fascinating.
with the smaller updates and the kind of interim patches and things like that, like 5.2 that we've just seen released. What's your approach to this? So how do you identify what you're going to work on, or what you want to add, or what you want to refresh and freshen up?
Yeah, so I think, as players know, there is a lot that we want to freshen up in the game, and we do quite a bit of that in the DLCs. But I think what we want to start doing more of is taking the opportunity to do that with the patches. So that's kind of the initiative we're starting now to kind of make our patches a bit bigger, a bit fuller. And in terms of what
5.2
goes
was
into
great.
them, we really want to be player-led. So yeah, 5.2 obviously came with a couple of things. It came with some new things, and it came with some fixes.
Yeah, new Greenskin units.
I think we want to keep
the deeps
going forward. So we always want to try and add something new in the patches. Something that you can say, hey, I'm going to come back and I'm going to try that new thing out, and you don't necessarily have to wait for a DLC to have like a new experience.
It's great. Awesome.
So that's always something I think we're going to try and aim for. And then on the point of tackling, fixing up some old content, there's a lot of it. Obviously, we've got a massive amount of content now. So yeah, we are going to be listening to players a lot. We've got a great team here that takes all of the feedback from the community. And then feeds it to the devs like us.
I love how transparent they're being about this. They're being very
always
transparent.
Have the capability to do exactly what people are asking for. So, for example, if people want us to do things like add new lords in these updates, that's probably not going to be something we're going to be able to do. And we'll focus maybe a little bit more on things like campaign features. Fixing up old features, doing some reworks.
So stop asking
reworks.
about Egrim.
Maybe
They're saying
stop. Do bigger reworks,
stop asking about Egrim on Horsemen.
There's going to be quite a bit of variance in these patches in terms of both the scope of them, how big they are, and the kind of content we do in them. And yeah, again, we're going to be player-led. Just because we're not going to do in these updates new lords and characters, that doesn't mean that for old content,
I'm fine with that.
Be any new lords or characters.
Talking about these things that you're reworking and working on, are you able to tell us anything about what's going to be coming next down the line in the next patch?
I love this, man.
Good question. As you noted at the start, we were recording this before 5.2 comes out. So probably what's going to be happening right now, in our time, not in the viewers' time,
in the future,
in the past, is we're going to be waiting to see the reception of 5.2. What would be really awesome is to start getting more feedback from players. What is it do they want to see? What content do they want us to go back and fix and update? And if they have even kind of, like I said, we want to do new stuff. So if they've got idea for new little features that they want to see in the game. It can be, you know, quality of life features, or it can be something a little bit more mechanical like the deeps. Then we can look to do that. So at the moment, I will mention a couple of things that are on our list.
God, I need to make more videos.
But the big caveat, obviously, is that plans might change. So what we're thinking of doing at some point will be a Bretonnia rework.
Listen,
you know, we have looked.
Listen, Mitch, I love you. I don't know if you're going to watch this video. I love you guys. You're great. You're awesome. You're all beautiful. You're gorgeous, handsome men. Bretonnia doesn't need a rework. Yes. Yeah, it can be more interesting. But you know what Bretonnia needs? Bretonnia needs a DLC. Just one. Just across the entire trilogy. Just one DLC. One fat paid chunk of content for Bretonnia. Please. Please. Just a smidgen. Just one last hurrah for Great Bretonnia. That being said, I really hope they do the Green Knight rework that I suggested. I would really like to see. I'm fine with the Green Knight being made into like kind of a full legendary hero type character, but I really hope they give him some kind of ability in campaign where he can go like everywhere. Like he should be an army ability at some point, where like either it's on his skill tree, or so like when he gets to a certain level, or when you reach a certain level of chivalry or something, there should be a system where the Green Knight is made into an army ability so he can show up everywhere. Like as long as you're fighting in Bretonnia, or like it's a defensive battle or some other kind of restriction, like you get the ability for him to just appear and fight alongside all of your garrisons, because that's his whole gimmick, is that he just like shows up out of nowhere, like thousands of miles away from where he was like the previous moment.
In the past, but they've still got quite a few things that I think we wanna fix and update with them. Most notably, I mean, Rich always talks about this quite a lot, is the Green Knight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see,
he's
Green
on
Knight,
our list for sure, along with some other feature fixes for Bretonnia. So they'll be coming, I think, at some point. Also Kislev, I'll mention them.
Oh yes,
we've seen
Kislev.
A lot of feedback. People want us to
Kislev needs some hefty
and kind of update them a little bit. And then we've also got some other smaller plans. So I think we've got a big rebalance of the ancillary system.
Nice.
A bunch of new ancillaries that we're looking
More
to
ancillaries
do,
would be very nice.
Future. The Chaos Invasion, that's also something
that'd be great.
Requests for.
Yeah, bring back Chaos Invasions. Hell yeah.
Which is definitely on our list to kind of bring back in some form. Obviously, it's a little bit different now how we can kind of implement it.
I would like,
all the big bad guys are already on the map.
I would like for them to bring back the ability to scout ruins and you get something from it. Like, we can scout ruins right now, but the only purpose it serves is that it gives you like, oh, there's Skaven there, or there's no Skaven there, and it sucks and I hate it. I really want them to do something, like either give me like a dilemma, so it's like, like in Warhammer 1 it was a dilemma, choose your own adventure type system, where it would like tell you a story and you got to pick an option of how to resolve it, and based on what option you pick, something happened. Or make it like just like Warhammer 2, where you got a puzzle of the old ones, and if you pick the right answer, you get an item. Like, I really want them to bring back the ability to gain items and ancillaries from ruins. Because in my campaigns, I never, never fucking ever have enough items or ancillaries. I never do. I always have, or like, I have too many of one ancillary, but like, I never have enough variety. And ruins would be, making runes actually helpful would make that so much better.
But I think there's some ideas we've got there. So yeah, that's a couple of things just to name, just to
great,
to give
excellent,
you a little taste.
awesome.
But yeah, like I said,
Wonderful.
We'll be waiting for feedback, and we really do want to be player led. So it will, plans might change depending on what it is people want.
As Mitch said, we're gonna try and inject variety of content into these updates. Hopefully, you saw recently. 5.2, we added a couple of Orc and Goblin units. There's other ideas about weapon variants, stuff like that. But that's the sort of thing that we're aiming for at the moment.
Weapon variants are great.
Whereas, characters like Egrim, I know people are after him. he'd be better suited to a DLC in the future. So
okay. So Rich nailed it. Rich is like, listen, stop asking about Egrim. So as far as I'm concerned, as far as I'm concerned, Rich has just confirmed we're gonna get an Interim DLC at some point. I don't know what that's gonna look like. Maybe they'll. One thing I would be totally fine with, I would be completely fine with, would be a DLC that just releases legendary characters and doesn't have any units, but more just touches on factions that are kind of done. So, though, now that we're getting Wrathmongers and Skull Reapers, I would like another Tzeentch unit to be like that level for Tzeentch. But like, and there's some monsters they could do, I guess. But like, I would be totally fine if they released a DLC that's like, oh hey, here's Egrim von Horseman, along with like 3 other legendary lords, and it's like $5 to $10. But here you go. Like, here's some more characters. That'd be great. I would be totally fine with that.
You don't expect those in the minor updates.
So
Okay.
this feedback that you're acting
So
on
minor
from the community,
updates, no
whereabouts are you
legendary
kind of
characters
compiling
is
that
what I'm
from?
hearing.
Which
No
channels that
legendary
we have are you
characters.
using for that?
Yeah, so we've got a fantastic player experience team here. Like I said, they kind of give us devs like really great feedback directly from players. So you can go on our official forums, our official Discord, and to be honest, most other social media, we'll find it eventually. And yeah, it's maybe not always obvious, but I can promise you we do get all of the feedback from players, and it is massively helpful in shaping, not only, I guess, what I do in the updates, but just everything we do in general. So go there, leave all your feedback, it'll reach us, and then we can act on it.
Awesome. Yeah, feedback.
We do a lot of reading.
Okay.
And I wanted to stress, if there was a faction maybe you were hoping Mitch might have mentioned but didn't, don't worry. We've got a bunch of other, plans and DLCs and things still to do. So we've got
Rich is trying so hard to be like,
yeah,
well.
chill, guys.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Chill.
We'll
get
I
to
guess
it.
it might not
Chill.
always be obvious kind of how we make the decisions we do in terms of what we do. So obviously we know better than players what our plans are. So we might
I would
know,
hope so.
For example, what we might do in future. And that then might mean we do something a little bit different for an update because we know in future this other piece of content people are going to want us to fix, or we've already got that on our in our plans. Trust that, I guess, even if you're kind of giving feedback and not seeing it directly action straight away, it is reaching us and
It's being seen.
It's
Yeah.
being seen. It's in the plan somewhere probably.
Well, that's all we've got time for today. So thanks to
Awesome.
Rich, Mitch, and Sean for
Very
joining
good.
me again for this today. It's
Very
been a lot of
good.
fun. Been good chatting with you again.
Very good.
Do let us know your feedback on this format. We want to keep improving it for you. And don't forget to give us your ideas and suggestions for things you'd like to see reworks on from Mitch and the team. We'll make sure that feedback gets through to the right people. You can do that on the CA community forums or the Discord
Excellent.
server. Or of
Excellent.
course you can just get us on our
Excellent
social
developer
media channels.
roundtable.
We hope you're having fun with 5.2, and we're looking forward to giving you more information about patch 5.3 and the next DLC in the near future. So until that time rolls around, we'll say goodbye.
See ya.
Okay, so it kind of sounds like the plan is for there to be a 5.3 patch, which means that we've got at least I would guess that we're probably looking at 5.3 is the last patch before 6.0, being the Khorne DLC, which would probably mean we get 5.3 late September, and then 6.0 maybe late October, early November, I think. But we'll have to see how that pans out. I have to say, I absolutely love these.
Essence. Which he can then use
They're absolutely fantastic. These developer interviews are so good. It's just a nice, relaxing, easy to consume bit of content, once every couple months that adds so much transparency to the process and allows people to learn a little bit about what the dev process is, how they evaluate things, and allows the community to feel heard. I think this is fantastic, and that this format is perfect. I mean, the only thing, I kind of just like it. I like that they're kind of just drip feeding little information about the coming DLCs instead of just making it like a big secret. Oh, we don't want to tell you anything about what's coming in the future. I much prefer this. I much prefer them just, you know, just a little drop of like, oh, here's a new unit, here's a mechanic, here's a rework we're doing for a character you already have as part of this DLC. Like that, I think that's such a healthier way to approach this entire dynamic, because it gives a lot for people to be excited about, but it's not like revealing everything. It's not showing the entire cake. You know, it's just letting you kind of peek through the fence a little bit to see what's coming. But like, I don't think that takes away from the hype of the trailer. I don't think that takes away from the hype of like seeing all of these things in motion, of seeing it in the game, of getting your hands on it. It's just a healthy form of transparency. I wish this had always been what the Warhammer trilogy was. I wish we had been doing this from the beginning, because this is fantastic. I really hope that people take to heart everything they said as far as like what kind of feedback they're looking for. I really want to go make a whole bunch of videos. I need to go make a whole bunch of videos just about all the things I'd like to see. But I think this is excellent. No notes. It's great. It's awesome. End time stuff. Holy shit. I need to go make a video about that. End time stuff. Confirmed. Amazing. So yeah, we didn't even have to wait for an End Times DLC. It's just part of the game now. Wild. Okay, so that's all I've got as far as this video is concerned. Please let me know what y'all think down in the comments. I really enjoy reading the comments, especially on these types of videos, in regards to what do y'all think? What do y'all think about Khorne trading out a generic hero because they really didn't find anything they felt was appropriate, and instead giving them 2 legendary heroes? Let me know what you think about that. Let me know what you think about this basically confirming most of what Khorne's going to have. What do you think about End Times stuff coming out? Is there anything from the End Times that you're like extremely excited to see? How do you feel about that Khorne is going to be adding like a new tier of Chaos Warrior? So like a mono-god themed aspiring champion type unit. Do you want to see that for the other 3 gods? Like, do you want the Putrid Blight Kings? Do you want a Tzeentch and Slaanesh unit? Let me know your thoughts, please. I am curious if the Tzeentch and Nurgle players, how y'all are feeling, because like a part of me feels like this is a shift by Games Workshop. I'll talk more about this in a dedicated video, so I'm not going to wax too lyrical on it. But all I'm going to say is that I feel like for Tarmacon, if they were like, oh yeah, y'all could do Putrid Blight Kings, a part of me thinks they kind of would have, and then they could have had like the hero and the Lord of Nurgle be like big fat models, because they could have been like, they could have used the same structure as the Putrid Blight King, and, you know, saved a lot of development time. You know, that's what makes using Scar Bloodwrath so clever, is that if you're going to use Wrathmongers and Skull Reapers, I forget which one it is, I think it's the Wrathmonger, but one of them is basically just a unit of Scar Bloodwraths. So, like, that's a smart use of development time, because you're reusing what you've already made. And they've got, like, whirling chain axes, so, like, oh, they can maybe use some lessons they learned from the Doomseekers. Also, once again, very smart using what you already have. But this is very exciting. This is extremely exciting. So, do let me know what y'all think. I thought this was awesome. I think the chemistry they have is fantastic. The presentation is great. Our glorious presenter is charming and wonderful, and I adore him. And I think the information they're bringing us is just wonderful. So please do let me know your thoughts. I will see you all very soon for lots more goodies. And yeah, we'll talk soon. Thanks for watching.